Hey everyone, this series is Next Level Truths. And what I'm going to talk about today is targeted individuals. And I have been a targeted individual. I touched on it briefly over the last year. I didn't really talk about it with anyone. Most people don't. And if they do, they usually regret it because it doesn't go well. And I understand why. Because when you're talking about something that sounds so crazy, this is the entire problem with disclosure. People can't relate to it. It makes them uncomfortable. They really don't know what to say. If it is true, it sounds like a really bad thing, and then they're worried about their own well-being and their families, and they take off. You can't really blame them. But as a result, you have people all over the planet who don't have anyone to talk to. Literally, it can be like that. And if somebody has not experienced it before, if somebody is not really, really emotionally grounded and able to navigate physically, spiritually, and mentally very well, they end up committing suicide. This also is happening all the time. Many people, I believe, are committing suicide because of the energetics. They never even recognize what's happening to them. They just suffer the trauma, and that's where they end up. So I don't really like talking about my personal business, but it's necessary to help somebody out there, then I'm going to do it. So here we go. It wasn't until the last year or so, recently at this point in my life, that I was able to even recognize the patterns that this sort of thing had been happening to me for a really long time, like forever. I just didn't see it. But I became hyper aware of it probably the last 5 or 6 years. And I felt it before I could see it any other way. Probably part of the awakening process, probably a natural part of the light code activations that are occurring planetarily. Part of it was a conscious choice on my part to expand and be the best that I could be and things like that. And that's when I was encountering foreign energetics, because I was so aware of it and I was conscious at all times. And I knew it wasn't mine, but it took me a while to figure out exactly what was going on. And I'm going to probably bring my story in, talking a little bit about my conscious awareness of it, because this is really a part that might help people. First of all, and I've mentioned this before, let me just talk about the feelings. It's not normal for you to go from 0 to 60 with an emotion when there's no reason for it. If there's no thought process, nothing's happening in front of you, you didn't just, get emotionally stimulated from a film or some huge, massive, horrifying thought process of something that happened in your past gone through your head, those can trigger feelings. But when that's not happening and you're just having these huge waves, that is an unnatural energy. That's what I mean by it. And more and more people are becoming aware of this now. I've talked about it in other videos. Well, knowing this is the beginning of starting to pay attention to energetics that are not yours. So that may be the first thing that you notice. The second thing is energetics in general may do some really strange things when you're around them. Your devices, anything electrical, you're going to have a lot of problems with light bulbs and computers and various things, phones, watches. They're going to perform oddly. It may or may not be you. It could be energetics around you, but with a little conscious effort, you'll be able to figure that out as well. So here's my story. I went inside after I'd been through a big life transformation. I decided I wanted to make some changes and I wanted to accomplish a few things. So I turned everyone off outside society and I went inside to focus on creating something I wanted to build. And that's when I started noticing the energetics that were not natural. And at first I thought perhaps I was imagining it, or perhaps I thought it was situational or this or that, but the patterns were unmistakable. So I knew that something was going on, but that's all I knew. When I went back out into the world to work outside and, have things to eat and stuff, that's when I started noticing some really strange patterns about people approaching me. One after the other, I had these men approaching me. And that was really odd, because this is a town I've lived in for a really long time, and it was the way that it was happening, the order that it was happening, the entire sequencing and everything. I knew pretty quickly that it was not natural and that there was something going on. But I just went with it to explore further. When in doubt, never give away your game. So I sat and watched it. Sure enough, one after the other, these men were coming. Then, the funny thing is, excuse me, I have a little congestion. The funny thing is, you have to have fun with this, okay? Because these people are having fun at your expense. These people are laughing at people's misery and pain and loss of love and family and jobs, not being able to support themselves, ending up homeless and committing suicide. They get off on that. Now here's where I might lose some people. They were like, oh, I just can't believe people would do that. Well, that gangs exist. They beat, rape, and rob people all the time. This is an energetic gang, and they probably do the physical stuff too, but there are people that are experts in just the energetic stuff. And this is why I'm always on my soapbox about being aware of the fact that you live in a resonant frequency reality. Everything's vibrating, everything's energy, because until everyone becomes aware of that fact, the abuse will continue. But we're in a time where people are becoming aware of it, and they're going to be able to see it, and their days are numbered. So they're kind of pissed off and in a little bit of a rush right now. So I don't know if they've always been there doing this as much, or if they're just getting sloppier, or probably a little bit of everything. But anyway, continuing on. So once I became aware, I just played along with it for a while so that I could see better. You really want to see what's going on, never alert your enemies. And I think they were having a really great time. They really thought they were getting away with it. And I watched them one by one come in, and this is how I was able to recognize the patterns. First, they would stare. They're probably practicing their psionic abilities, to try to get things to happen or plant things in my mind. They would just sit and stare with every bit of energy that they have from somewhere nearby. And if I happened to turn and look at them, they'd quickly look away. But, this is a pattern that happened repeatedly. So then they would approach. Now, sometimes they would sound very nice and normal and friendly and everything. But if you don't go along with their game, if they're not getting where they want to go, they will turn on you really quickly. Someone who actually likes you and is interested in being your friend, or maybe even getting laid or something like that, the game is going to be different, because what they want is a pretty straightforward human game. And they may stick around for a while, and if they don't get what they want, they may be like, and just leave. They may be heartbroken and wander away. They may get mad and, bleh, vomit on you a little bit and walk away. But it's a straightforward game that most people are used to playing. This game was different. Very different. The behavior was different. And as I started to see a pattern of all the people around me, now this was a place that I went to regularly, a place that I hung out regularly alone on my computer. And all of these people were approaching me at the same place, not any other places that I was going. It was always the same place. But there never seemed to be any interaction in between them. They didn't know each other at all or anything like that. But the patterns were exactly the same. One thing I'm really good at is recognizing patterns. So I knew inevitably that they had to all be related. And then the behavior became so incredibly odd that I decided to throw in a few little loops myself and see what would happen and how the dust would settle. Well, that caught everyone off guard, and behavior got really weird. Really weird. So I could feel the energy of attacks, or I described it as an unnatural energy or unnatural emotions. You know, once you get really tuned into it, and I know more and more people are going to become more and more tuned into it, which is why I make these videos. A lot of people that watch this are probably extremely advanced and you know everything. You've been through everything and more. And others, maybe not so much, or maybe they're hearing about it from somebody and they really didn't know what to think about it, whether it was real or whether their friend was crazy. So that's why I'm making the videos. But you will, once you recognize it and you start looking for it, start to feel these energies, and you will know when you're being energetically attacked. This can be done from a human scalar wave generator, from a group of human scalar wave generators, such as in this case, I believe, or it can be done through electronics, or all of the above. So it was painful to experience physically and emotionally, to be attacked by a group. It makes you feel very sad, especially when you would never think of doing that to anybody. You know, I mean, everyone knows that. It's like the thought of anyone getting beaten and robbed and raped, you know, it makes you feel the same way. You're like, who would? And people do it all the time. Okay. So, but what I had going in my favor was that I consciously chose to sit in that feeling and allow all the feelings to wash over me and have the full experience, because I knew that my job here was to have that experience and learn everything about it and report back to people so I could help them heal. And I think that this is something that the group probably did not take into account. I sat there in the energy and allowed the attacks to happen until I could trace the energetics to each and every person to see exactly who was involved and how they were all connected. So that's what I did. Every day I sat there in the pain and the humiliation and all the things that were going on. I'm not going to go really deeply into it. I really just want to talk about the energetics and how it would relate to you. Until I saw the web very clearly. And there was a trigger. It's not easy to do, especially if you're just starting with this, because you're going into unknown territory. There really aren't any guidebooks, which is why I'm in the process of putting together some for you that will be much more in depth, which will be my courses. But everyone needs help for free, you know, and it's something that you can do on your own. Many people have built multi-million-dollar companies without a lot of guidance. You know, you can do anything you want to do, but everybody does need a little help from time to time. So when it's new, you're going to be fighting old programs about what's real and what's not real, what's in your head, what's not in your head, how, you know, and that is how it all works. And that's why it's so important to start breaking the programs, going into your conscious and subconscious mind, examining everything, because if you don't do that, if you don't learn to recognize the programs, you don't have a chance. That is why so much time, money, energy, and effort is spent on programming the human race, because it's the only thing that makes this work. It keeps it stuck together. The other thing that it does is it draws lines in the sand about what's normal and healthy and acceptable and believable, and people start to exist within that little box. So not only are they enslaving themselves, but they are drawing lines and keeping out anyone else that is there to help them open their minds or give them a new experience. And really, when you look at it that way, it goes against the very reason that we exist. You know, you're here in a free will environment to have experiences and learn things, not to be told what's right and what's wrong and which way you should go and, you know, what you should believe and not believe. But that's kind of what's been created here, and we've all fallen prey to it on some degree. So recognize that and know that it's difficult to trust yourself, what you're seeing and knowing. But I promise you, the more you do it, the easier it's going to get. And when you're locked onto something, but it still sounds really crazy and you're not sure that something is happening, or that you're picking up on something, or you're really seeing something because it seems so far out there, you can get confirmations. The universe will give you confirmations. You are so incredibly powerful. You will get what you need. You may only need 1 or 2 confirmations to be solid with it. You may need hundreds or thousands of confirmations. It depends how much confidence you have in yourself, how often you've been working on your abilities, how, deep your programs are, a million different things. But if you want to know what the truth is, if you want to learn how to hone your antenna, your chakra system, your intuition, you can do it. And the things that you know and that you pick up on have always been there. And the more that you learn about yourself, the more you're going to realize that they were always there and you saw them all along. It was the programs that turned them off and ignored them. So when I talk about being super conscious over the last 5 years of feeling it and then actually seeing it and knowing exactly what it was, and then consciously going in and deciphering it, that was a big shift for me. Before that, I was denying and turning off and making excuses like everyone else, even though mine were very, very strong. I did it a lot. So when I decided to not do it, to really discover what the real truth is, no matter what, that's when everything went on fire. So that's what I did. I sat there and then I saw everything connecting. And I make videos about this all the time too. You want to know what the truth is? It's horrifying. It sends people into, psychosis, suicide, psychotic breaks. This is one of the problems with full disclosure. If they gave you all the information at once about the programming and the lies, people wouldn't be able to handle it. But they can handle one crumb at a time, and it's necessary. And if it's not going to be handed to you, then you need to take it. If you want to be truly powerful and have control of your faculties and all the wonderful things that come with it, then you're going to have to take it. You certainly can't depend on it. No one's going to help you. No one's going to give it to you. Even if I could give it to you, I can't give it to you. All I can do is give you keys and tips and support. And so that's what I'm going to do. It's an inside job. It's an internal journey. Now, the funny thing is they work in groups. It's a hive mentality, right? So they're actually weak as shit because it takes a pack of people to come after one person to take them down. That's pretty lame. And in many cases, they'll keep adding to the pack and adding to the pack and adding to the pack and adding to the torture and adding to the devices and turning up the volume, and they still can't take them down. It's very funny. But they're so convinced that numbers is the name of the game, that you couldn't possibly survive against large numbers. Which leads to my next point, which is you are never alone. That's the big illusion. As long as you buy into that, you are going to give up and kill yourself. Because if you look at this physical reality, that's how they get away with all the programming and all the bullying and everything. It's us against them. Either you go along with the village and you follow the rules, or they throw you out and you're going to starve and die. Okay, welcome to resonance technology, the resonance lifestyle and all that it involves. You're never alone. You're surrounded by beings, and you can consciously call them in. And I think we're all getting an education about this right now on both sides, aren't we? So that's the first step. And that's why you have to develop your spirituality and your intuition and your messages and everything so that you have the strength to do this. Because if you play by their rules in their game, which is what the entire matrix is made out of, you're going to fall. So that's the beauty of where we're going. That's why everyone should want to do it. And the problem lies in the human psyche. When people get a little bit of power, whether it's money, prestige, good looks, psionics, spiritual control, mind control, things like that, they if they are not strong and steady and grounded in the light and wanting only for goodness and light, then they will turn it on other people. That has been the reason for all of the hideousness since the beginning of time on this planet, that it's been in hideousness. I don't believe it always was from the beginning. That's another story. So you have a choice. You know, they're always like, money's the root of all evil. That's just the one obvious, powerful thing that people see. And yeah, they'll kill, murder, rape, steal, pillage to get that, or any other symbol of power, because they're empty vessels, because this is all that they see and all that they know. They bought into a program. So really, it's kind of sad. But then there are others that are fully aware of everything that's going on and how it all works, and they just enjoy pain, misery, and suffering. They feed off of it. They're demons. They have demonic attachments. They're surrounded by demons, and that's a path they choose. So you have all the parts of the spectrum there, and that's why I try to address everyone, and I say no man left behind. Some people really were uneducated when they entered, sort of like you get sucked into a gang or the mafia, and before you know it, you realize what you're really doing and what's really going on, and then you're stuck there and you can't get away. But are you ever really stuck anywhere and you can't get away? That's an illusion too. So take it all with a grain of salt. So I've been talking for 21 minutes. That's my introductory video to Next Level Truths. It's not for everyone. It's definitely going to have its own flavor, but I am going to get a little bit more into it. So ending this video, what I want to say is, you need to spend a lot of time with yourself. Part of the tool, if this is happening to you, is the isolation tool, because they are assuming that when you isolate somebody that they will lose their mind and get depressed and want to kill themselves. Alchemy is making lemonade out of lemons. Literally, it's that. It's literally taking whatever happens to you and choosing what you're going to do with it. You know, like the silver lining in the cloud. This is the tool that will get you through life. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, even if you don't buy into any of the rest of anything I'm saying, that alchemy, that is the key to surviving well and being happy. So you're dying of thirst, you just want some soda, or even water would be great, and someone throws you a couple of lemons, and they laugh and they walk away. And your first thought is, ouch, you know, they have all these bottles of soda over there and all these yummy sweet things, and what am I going to do? You use your brain. You're like, well, before I had nothing, now I've got these lemons. What can I do with the lemons? You walk away, you go home, you get some water, you add a little bit of honey, sweetener, whatever, or you just make lemon water, and it's delicious and nutritious. And you got a big smile on your face, and the asshole who wouldn't share with you, who tossed you the lemons, you just totally annoyed the hell out of them. And you walk away with a big smile on your face. If you approach life that way, that's a good way to start to experience the light, to see the light. And it's that's what alchemy is. You can take it to extremes, you know, and it gets really fun. But anyway, I'm going to stop there for today. Hope you're having a really great day. I hope this helps somebody out there. And if you know anyone who has talked about any of this or has any interest in it whatsoever, if there's just somebody that you're worried about, this would be the series that you could forward to them. You could save a life. And if nothing else, get some popcorn and let it be entertainment, you know? There could be worse things. How many reality shows can you watch anyway? So I hope you're all having a great day, and maybe I'll see you on episode 2. Bye.